Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Village of Bartlett Committee of the Whole meeting for February 16, 2021. I call this meeting to order and again ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Trustee Carbonaro?
Here.
DEYNE?
Here.
Nancy? Here. Hopkins?
Here.
REINKE?
Present.
Sawanski? Yes. President Wallace?
Here. First item on our agenda this evening is under Building and Zoning, Chairman REINKE.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have one item, the Bartlett Fire Station Training Facility. They're requesting a site plan amendment, a special use permit. So the purpose of the committee this evening is to discuss it, moving on to the Plan Commission if appropriate. And with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Grill.
Thank you. We're just waiting on the host to allow me to share, but in the meantime, I'll go ahead and present this. So tonight, the Bartlett Fire Protection District is requesting an amendment to their site plan for a proposed 2,880 square foot fire training facility. And this facility would be constructed from 12 shipping containers. And they would be located east of the existing fire station located on West Bartlett Road. John, are we good? Can I share yet? Nope. Okay. The existing parking lot would be extended eastward, where a new concrete pad would be constructed that would allow fire vehicles and apparatus direct access to this new structure. They are also requesting a special use permit to allow the height of the 41-foot 9-inch training facility to exceed the maximum 35-foot height requirement in the P1 zoning district.
All right.
Okay. Here we go. All right. So I have some renderings. Let me first show you the site plan. I went to. The existing fire station located in the center of the property and the new concrete pad with the structure located just to the east of that. So the existing parking lot would be extended eastward. They would circle around. They could park here, locate next to the facility, and then exit the site out this way. They are proposing, I've got some renderings too. This is what it would look like. It's 4 stories. Fire training events would take place 6 to 8 times a month, with burning events taking place approximately 2 to 4 times per year. The fire chief has assured me that the smoke generated from these burning events would not exceed the level of smoke produced from a single-family residential fireplace. And with that, the fire chief, Bill Grabenya, is here tonight and can answer any technical questions that you might have.
Are there any questions from the committee?
I have a question. So I guess after hearing the person from the audience, after hearing the person from the audience saying that there's all the different training facilities, and this is just something I didn't even know, what is the reason for having it right in Bartlett?
Okay, so we do not have a training facility in the area. The closest one for us is Elgin Community College, which takes us about a half hour to get to. And so we're probably spending or exhausting about $50,000 a year in overtime just to be able to send those crews twice a year for that training. And then we still don't have a place to throw ladders. We don't have a place to practice rescues. We just don't have a place to do that. We can't practice taking somebody off of a balcony. We can't practice deploying or stretching hose lines to a building or to a second story because we don't have a place to do that. So this would give us the chance and opportunity to be able to practice our crafts, get better at what we do, and have a place to train, because we just don't have a place now to do that stuff. So, again, if we want to throw a ladder to a second floor, we can't do it. And the only time that we can do it is through ECC, and Elgin Community College allows us about twice a year to use their facility. But that's it, just twice a year. And we want something that's local, where we can, we don't have to pay that overtime costs, that we can train and still be in service in case we have a call come in.
And how long has this been an idea or in the plans?
So the district just went through a strategic planning session recently with Northern Illinois University, and in that strategic planning session, one of the priorities in the first 1 to 3 years was a training facility.
'Cause it was a few years ago, right, that there was the referendum, or?
Yeah, about 2 years ago.
2 years ago?
2 years ago.
Okay. And so how does that fit in with like some of the plans that were in place for the reason for that?
Like, what do you mean?
Well, I guess, was that kind of like a thought back at that time too, or is this kind of like some, you know, like an extra, or just something that came up in taking a look at everything?
So a lot of the things that we do, you know, contrary to some of the things you just heard. So one of the things that we've been very successful with is in the last 2 years, we've managed to get $650,000 in grants. So it's something we're always looking at for facilities like this. We also have other sources of revenue that will help us with a facility like this. So it's not just something that is coming out of reserves or anything like that. So we have a lot of different avenues to cover the cost of this.
Perfect, thank you.
I'm sorry, $650,000 from where? I just couldn't.
We've received over the last 2 years, $650,000 in grants.
In grants, okay.
Yes, yes.
Hey, Renee, pull that microphone
Oh,
down.
I'm sorry. Yeah, in grants, okay.
Yeah, we've been very successful as an organization. We have a grant writer, and he's done a really good job for us. So.
That's great.
It's going to generate only about as much smoke as a residential fireplace.
Yeah, so, you know, we're tied to EPA regulations and also what we call NFPA, which is the National Fire Protection Association's 1403 standards. So we're only allowed to use Class A materials. So that could be wood, just like you would in a fireplace. Typically in these kind of centers, we use hay because it's cheap, it's easily accessible, and it produces a nice white smoke for us. And all these doors and windows in this facility are closed up tight so that we can produce smoke in here so we can't see, and that's how we practice our searches and stuff like that. But it is a very, to me, it's no different than a fireplace. It's a very, you know, when we do finally open up the windows and stuff, when we want to clear the structure out, it's a wispy white smoke that is not very visible.
And I noticed that the building is, it's made out of cargo containers as opposed to masonry. I've seen a number of these facilities seem to be masonry. Is this cheaper?
Yes, it's probably a third of the cost.
Sure.
Compared to
labor.
To masonry. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And these have gained a lot of popularity. One, because the cost is a third of what a masonry building would be, and it allows you to do a lot of things inside the structure. So again, this allows us to practice our special teams training too. We have special teams, which is a technical rescue team. So we're giving them an opportunity to, again, practice their skills here in this building.
Chief, perhaps mention the longevity of a training tower like this versus basically.
Yeah, so a training tower like this is probably about 30 years versus a masonry building. The one building that the gentleman mentioned was Carroll Stream. That building's out of service because it was a masonry building, and they did do a lot of live fires in that building, and now there's some issues with the construction of the building. So they have to do some modifications to that building to be able to burn into it again. So again, this is a great opportunity because those cans allow you to have those little burn rooms, and we don't have to worry about the issues with a masonry building.
And when the chief first approached the staff with this type of structure, he has been made aware of the new possible developments that are coming in that are taller, the apartments that are 4 stories high, and that's why he was requesting this height for this building.
Yeah, you'll see there's balconies on the 3rd and 4th floor, so we'll have opportunities to practice taking people down those levels in case we have an issue. We're also able to go in on the 2nd floor and practice a basement fire or issues with basements. So again, it's very versatile for us. There's a roof simulator up there, so it allows us to practice ventilations on the roofs. And again, some of the, you know, like for U40, or the Elgin Community College doesn't have a roof simulator, so this gives us a roof simulator to use.
Approximately how much does this cost, Chief?
A building like this is anywhere from 250 to 300.
So there's a good chance you'd probably get grants close to paying for it, so it wouldn't be really a taxpayer-funded thing primarily.
Yes, there's several avenues that we have, whether it's grants, whether we also have a foreign fire tax board that's very committed to this, and so there's other opportunities we're pursuing to help with the cost. Yeah.
Having this facility here, you think will make us a safer city?
Yes, by far. Because again, we don't have a place to train, and I can't train just twice a year. You know, we're not going to get any better. We're not going to be any more efficient without being able to train several times a week. And not from a fire standpoint, but just being able to throw ladders and do searches and stretch hose lines. We just don't have a place to do that.
Good.
Other fire districts, other municipalities,
That's just my question.
using this facility?
So that's something we haven't discussed yet. Streamwood doesn't have a facility anymore. Hanover Park doesn't. South Elgin doesn't. Some of our neighbors do not. And so we've talked just early on about making arrangements with them. Yeah.
So these numbers that you presented for times of use are just for the fire district of Bartlett?
Correct.
Thank you.
So the Carroll Stream location you said is out of service?
Correct. My understanding is that they can't burn in there temporarily right now. It's a masonry building. I do have pictures of it. It's in the middle of a subdivision.
And I think you just said that Streamwood, there is no location for Streamwood?
So Streamwood had a burn tower at their location on Park Avenue. I don't know if you've seen their new station that's being built there now. They took that facility down that used to be there.
So they don't have a location now?
Correct.
Before, when they did have locations, when you had a location at Carroll Stream and you had one at Streamwood, and apparently there's a couple of other ones in Elgin Community College and one or two others, maybe? Was there a problem with scheduling, getting in there to train?
So Streamwood hasn't used their facility in a very, very long time because, again, of concerns with the building that they had there. So the most recent one that we used to train at was in Carroll Stream and at ECC. Carroll Stream's building's an older building. As far as scheduling purposes, I can't answer that. I don't know if there was issues getting in there to train. But again, we would go there twice a year.
Okay.
Any other questions from the committee?
Oh, I think good for a vote.
All right, so we'll forward it on to the Plan Commission for the appropriate hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, that's all we have for building and zoning tonight.
Thank you, Chairman REINKE. Next item we have on our agenda this evening, the final item, is our Finance and Golf Committee Chairman DEYNE.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have the 2021-2022 proposed budget review. And with that, I would like to turn this over to our Finance Director, Todd, please, if you'd be so kind.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman DEYNE. Yeah, this is the beginning of our budget presentation review process with the board, so we're excited to get this going. It's kind of a long process, as we'll see. There is a copy of the presentation in your packet. I'm going to be trying to move along tonight. I got a lot to cover, but feel free to send me questions. We're going to be sending out the detailed proposed budget. We're shooting for Friday. It's probably going to go out Friday. 95% chance. We got a little work to do, putting it all together, but. So when you get that on Friday, there's a lot of information, a lot more details. Some of this information that we're covering is in the budget message, and then a lot of it is in the summary tables in the beginning. I don't know if you looked at prior budgets, some of you, but there'll be a lot of that to come. So then Friday the 19th, we'll be sending out more detail. First meeting in March, we'll start reviewing individual departments. We're starting off with the Police Department, Planning, Development Services, and Administration, that first meeting in March. So without any further, let me see if I can keep moving here. There's no snowstorm or outside. I did want to mention, though, that some of the numbers you'll see, they might be affected by all the snow we've been plowing. So we like to put this up every year, saying it's more than just numbers. It is a policy document, so it does have our different financial policies in it. It also has our goals and objectives, our plans. It summarizes our major revenues. It also is an operation guide. Says some of the different kinds of things. It has some statistics in there of how many inspections we do, how many feet of water main we replace, those kind of things. And it just, again, communicates our goals and activities, policies. It has useful information in there. Here's the budget calendar. So we're almost getting to the end here when we start bringing it to you guys. Again, February 19th will be the proposed budget will be delivered, and then the two meetings in March will be reviewing the detail, and then first meeting in April we'll have a public hearing, and that's when we would our first chance we would have to have it approved. So we need to have our budget approved by the end of April or the beginning of the next fiscal year, May 1. So we'll start out with where the money comes from. $85 million is in this budget. That it goes up and down quite a bit. 14% is property taxes, 27% is other taxes. That includes our income tax, sales tax, use tax, telephone tax, real estate transfer tax. Charges, that's mainly for water, sewer, golf, parking. And then borrowings is up quite a bit this year at 25%. That's mainly due to our IPA loans that we're looking at getting for the wastewater treatment plant. And expenditures, $94 million. So you note that we've got $85 million coming in, $94 million coming out. A lot of that is we do have bond proceeds from prior years that we'll be spending, also some fund balances that were accumulated for purposes, mainly capital outlay. So the big part about what's going out, 44% is our capital projects. A big part of this budget is the capital improvement plan that we reviewed back in December. Again, that first year of the capital plan rolls into this budget. We split the budget kind of into two categories. There's the operating budget, capital budget. The operating budget, $53 million. That does include some of our debt service, our police pension fund. You can see kind of spiked last year. That was part of our refunding and payment to the escrow. There's our capital. You can see how the capital budget really goes up and down depending on projects. We had the big police station project recently, then the water connection to Lake Michigan, and now we're going up again for the wastewater treatment plant and other sewer projects. I'm going to move into the revenue section. Later on, we'll be getting into the details as far as expenses, but this is really our only review of the revenue, our major revenues. $85 million again. This is up 24%, mainly due to borrowing. 44% is enterprise funds, water, sewer, parking, golf. Property taxes is always a major revenue that we discuss. Again, it's 14% of our total, 35% of the general fund. When we're talking about this $11,705,000 property taxes, we're only talking about the general corporate levy, police pension levy, and the debt service levy. So the general corporate levy has been at $6,443,000 for 9 years. This would include an extra $250,000. We talked about brush pickup. It also includes the actual 2020 police pension levy that was $2,067,000. That was up 337,000 from the prior year. Now, debt service is going down 150,000. That was due to the refunding of the 2012 bonds. So we're starting to see already that reduced our 2012 debt service by about 150,000 a year. So the levy is, the one thing about the levy is we set the levy now, and this would be for the 2021 levy that would fund our 2021-22 fiscal year. So we set the levy at the beginning of the year. We don't actually pass the levy till halfway through the year, and then we collect the money actually after the year is over. So that's one little quirky thing about the levy. Here's just a chart of our rate history. Rates have been pretty level. You can see Cook County in blue has a little more dramatic changes as they have the reassessment every 3 years. DuPage County kind of moves steadier. That's why the ups and downs a little more in the blue. The state actually calculates the burden between the two counties as the EAV changes. The 2019 burden was split up 39.32% Cook County, 60.28% DuPage County, and we're up to 0.4% for Kane County right now. So I think Kane County's burden doubled over the last couple of years. But that can be quite a big swing in your taxes. If you go from 39% to 40%, that can increase the burden of Cook County by 5% or something like that. So it can make a big difference. The second chart shows the assessed value. You can just barely see it there. 2021, we're estimating $1.25 billion. Not even on the chart anymore. The EAV peaked in 2009 at $1.37 billion. So we're still down 8% from the peak before the housing crash. So that's amazing. Moving on to income tax. Sometimes this is what we call the LGDF, the Local Government Distributive Fund, is how income tax is distributed. We're budgeting $4,560,000, so that's quite a big chunk, 18% of our general fund. We're budgeting this to be up $238,000. The IML projects these numbers. I don't study these. They come out with reports a few times a year with their estimates or projections. I think they're quite a bit surprised at how well the income tax has done this year. It came in over their estimates, and then especially with COVID and everything, it has still been doing very well. They're projecting it to be up another 5% for next year. So that is $110.70 per capita. Our per capita right now, $41,208. That's how it's being distributed. So we do get, I have just under 6%. It's actually just over 6% of the total income tax that the state collects. I should note, I think Illinois is coming out with their budget. They haven't said anything about reducing the share for municipalities. I haven't heard anything or seen anything on that, but that's always a danger. We always get notices whenever they get a hint that they're going to be looking at reducing our share of the income tax.
At one point, it was at 10%.
It started out at 10%. They kept raising the income tax, and they would reduce the municipal share so that the state would get all the increase and the municipalities would remain the same. So 10%, that would be pretty good. That would look pretty good for us right now. Sales tax, $3,400,000. This is another interesting thing, I guess, going on with the change of online taxes, changing it over from use tax, the sales tax, the way they're gonna be distributed is gonna be different. I sent Paula a nice flow chart of, from the Department of Illinois, Department of Revenue. It showed if you're this kind of business, then go over here, and if you sell it to this many people, you know, how the sales tax is gonna be delivered. Paula said she got a headache, so I didn't put it in the presentation, but it's Illinois Department of Revenue, and you look at their fact sheets for the new online, I think they call it the Fair Share Act. The idea was to make it fair for local businesses online has to pay the same. So I took about $1 million from the use tax, that's about 50% of use tax, moved it to sales tax in the budget. Sales tax again is down about 4% from last year, so this is a little conservative as far as I'm not expecting sales tax to really pick up a whole bunch this next year, but we'll see. I guess we're all kind of waiting to see how the economy.
If they have the online sales tax figured out, it's gonna skyrocket, because there's so many more people ordering online now.
Yeah, it should. It should, especially, but
I would guess it would overcome the 4% drop in local sales tax.
That's gonna move from use tax, sales tax.
Yeah.
And
the use tax is calculated differently, right?
Yeah, use tax, they put it all in a pot and they spread it per capita. So they're gonna try to distribute the sales tax based on where the item is shipped to now. So that's gonna be.
And considering the number of Prime and UPS trucks I see in the village of Bartlett, we should have a very large number.
We should. Because I told my wife, we got to buy some stuff on Amazon, see what they're charging us now. So.
Well, they charge tax. I've gotten charged.
The first time we bought something, they charged us 10%. I said, we're in DuPage County, it should only be 8%. Next time we bought something, it was 8%. It was the correct amount of 8%, but who knows where the money's going to end up with. We're still kind of.
It's new. It's new and there's a crazy flow chart. But yeah, the projections for the amount that people will be spending online and has spent online since the beginning of the pandemic are skyrocketing.
Yeah, so we're going to be watching that closely. It started in January. We'll probably be seeing the first of it in April. So that's going to affect our home rule sales tax because that's the big thing. They're going to be collecting a home rule sales tax as well. So home rule sales tax is down more than regular sales tax this year. But I took from the $1 million I added to sales tax, I added $700,000 to home rule sales tax. We don't collect home rule. We're at about 65–70% home rule sales tax to sales tax, just because food and pharmaceuticals, things like that, are not taxed with their home rule sales tax. So again, home rule sales tax, $2,380,000. Home rule sales tax has been doing very, very well for us. When we brought it on in 2018, we replaced natural gas, electric utility. I had some businesses complain right away, you know, but then one told me, you know what, people don't even, it didn't affect anything. It didn't affect their business. So then that takes us to local use tax. This year we're going to receive estimated about $1,750,000 or to $1,800,000. So IML doesn't really know how much is still going to be in use tax and how much is going to switch. So 50% was on the high end. They were thinking 20 to 50%. I moved half of it to sales tax, and we'll see what happens. So the IML is still based on their old system. They're thinking it's going to be up 5% $44.50. I think I had $42.50 on your, it should be, that was this current year. Next year, they're estimating $44.50 per capita for use tax, but it's going to be distributed as some amount of sales tax. Other taxes, the big one this year for us has been real estate tax. I keep resisting raising the budget on this. I'm raising another $50,000. We're estimating, as I said, in the 6 months, we've had a few really big commercial properties. We're going to be at close to $1.2 million this year. 2 of those properties accounted for $220,000 in real estate. So the thing is, if that goes away, that's a lot of money. We don't want to count on that. Gaming tax has really been down. It's probably going to be about 50% this year, just because they were closed so much. $250,000. That's what we use to support our beta. And building permits. We do use building permits as economic incentive. We have out in the Brewster Creek Business Park and some other developments. We're at about $590,000 right now in permitting. That should pick up a little bit in the spring. So we're estimating $650,000 next year. 30 residential homes are look like that's what our estimate is, compared to 13 that were built this last year. Maybe 6 commercial properties. Moving on to some of our.
I think just kind of in general, I think what you're hearing from Todd is that there are a lot of things that are uncertain, both at the state and local levels, but we've made those estimates conservative. So, you know, we've kind of hedged our bets on the more conservative side of those things to kind of mitigate some of that uncertainty.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Moving on to our water sewer funds. So we're keeping our budget the same, $12 million on the water. This is based on our average consumption. It was up a little this last year, about 6% this last year due to pandemic, everybody staying home. I think that's why it was up. It did peak quite a while ago, 2005, when a lot of construction was going on, $1.2 billion. So that was off the chart that it peaked back in 2005. It edged up slightly, 2018, and then it quite a bit this last year. But we're at $12 million is based on kind of the average over the last few years. You can see our water revenue as we ramped it up for the switch to the Lake Michigan. Our sewer sales, it's based on how much water is used. We did not implement the last rate increase for starting in 2020. We're planning on put that off another year. The high water use did help us a little bit with that. There is going to be increases needed in 22, 23, and then the 23, 24 year as we get to where we have to pay the wastewater treatment plant loans back.
Will the increase be even more then, or is it kind of just skipping the year?
We are, you mean because of not increasing them now? Yeah, we did not want to increase the rates as the pandemic was hitting last year. And this year, because the IPA loans and all that are coming due a little later than what we were expecting when we ramped up the rates the first couple of years, we do have the fund balance, and we'll see that towards the end when we go over the fund balance and where we are at the sewer fund and things like that. So I think we could ramp it up a little, more gently, I guess. You're right. If we do it this year and then a little more the next year and the next. But I think our thinking was not to raise the rates during the pandemic.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's right. It was just a thought, like it was longer.
Yeah, it is. We'll talk about that. We can talk about that more. We're going to have a general rate discussion. We're going to need to approve the ordinance to raise the rates, the sewer rates, to support the IEPA loans when they're approved. So those will be this summer, even though the rates won't necessarily be effective until the May of 2022.
So we do try, like, the last rate increase is over a series of 3 years, and we try to step those, so that it isn't a big jump. You know, like sometimes you'll see like this huge increase in other towns that hadn't had an increase in like 5 years. Mm-hmm. So we try and modulate that over a period of years, and that's the discussion that Todd is referring to, that we have scheduled.
Oh, okay.
A couple of
Thank you. So again, our debt service for the wastewater treatment plant. Right now, the loan is approved, or the application was for $37 million. That's before we've gone out for bid and that kind of stuff. So that's probably the max. As we see what the actual project cost comes in, like with the water fund, I think when the water project started, it was, the engineers were saying we're going to have to double our water rates. We ended up 85% increase to our water rates. So with the same thing, once we see what the actual project costs come through, then we'll be able to tweak those rates a little bit. Golf is one of our other enterprise funds. We're budgeting $1,190,000 for the golf. This is for the golf program. That is a $52,000 increase from our 2021 budget. It's actually a decrease from what we're actually receiving in 2021. The proposed budget rounds $31,750 is less than. Phil's thinking that we're not going to have another perfect weather year again, and so that's why we're budgeting less rounds than what we actually had this year, more in line with what we've had in previous years. Food and beverage, a small increase to the budget, 2%. Yeah, as we saw in the 6-month review, they're projecting only about $350,000 in actual revenue this year. So the budget includes a lot of events that have been rolled over the next year. It also assumes that we will be open for large events next year. Moving on to a quick expenditure review. This is just the operating section. All right, the blue, so the blue includes debt service, police pension. If we back that out, it's a little more level at $42 million. Most of our, in this chart, just showing the types of expenses, most of it's personnel service with police, admin, finance. Yeah, it's most personnel. Commodity, contractual services is where our DuPage Water Commission purchasing water is in their contractual services, so that's why that is so big. And by department, there's golf, debt service, public works, public safety is about the same. I split out the police pension this year and general government. So a quick overview of the general fund. Again, we're going to be getting into more of these details, breaking them by department. The general fund includes the police department, streets department, planning, development services, finance, admin. So we've done pretty well over the last couple of years. This last year, the CARES Act money from DuPage County really helped our budget. So we're starting out estimating the cash balance. Now, this is where I need to put an asterisk next and say that we're in the middle of a snowstorm again. But so we're going to be probably $200,000 to $300,000 to $400,000 lower than that. When we did the 6 month, we did estimate or allow some snow removal, but not this much. Yeah, we hit our budget end of January after the big 11 inches or something. So again, the budget revenue is 24 million, expenditures 22 with transfers out 3 million, ending balance 12,300,000. So we are budgeting to use just over $1 million. This includes transfers to central services, 1,072,000. Vehicle replacements, transfers from the general fund to 516,000. Oh. Police pension fund transfers included there, 2,067,000. And then transfers in from water, sewer, parking of 593,000. As far as personnel changes, there is a request for 2 additional police officers. This would be to maintain their staffing, their current staffing levels. Central services is kind of behind the scenes, so I just want to quickly go over this. This is, they have a balance of $636,000. Their annual transfer from all departments is about $1.5 million, which is going to be close to what their cost is this year. Their ending balance should be about the same. We do have 4 positions in central services that we charge out to the other departments through transfers. That's IT coordinator, network administrator, GIS specialist, and GIS tech. But those will be listed in your details as when we do replace our equipment, copy machines, desktops. You'll see that our machinery and equipment budget, $104,000. That's our annual desktop replacement program. This is moderately lower than some years. We also replace or cover the squad laptops, equipment in the squads, servers, telephone system is purchased out of here. So that's why we are slowly working on building the balance up again in this. Also included in this year's budget is the village-wide technology master plan. We'll be talking more about that as we get into more of the details. Vehicle replacements. So this is always an interesting part of the budget review as we look at different departments. I'm sure we've seen enough of the large snowplow trucks, but you'll get to see how much those cost. And those are about $160,000 a piece. There's a couple of them in the requested in this budget. The thing about the big trucks, they order them and they take a year to come. So we have two large dump trucks, snowplow trucks that are still on order from last year, and we've got 4 squads that are on order. We've had a number of squads that were in accidents, so that a couple on accidents, a couple that we were purchasing, but the vehicles are taking a long time to turn around. So in this budget, 9 vehicles, 2 mowers, but there's still 6 of them out there. So when these are ordered, they typically, especially the big PW trucks, which we've got 3 big PW trucks in this budget. They won't come in until the next year. Okay, so we're starting to wrap it up here. Again, there's no new taxes or fees. General property tax levy, we are proposing to increase it for the brush pickup. We do have wage increases, 2.5% factored into this budget. The police union, I didn't note there, but the police union agreement is up April 30, so that's something else that's going to be part of this budget. We are putting off water and sewer rates, so that's what we're proposing, and it includes the capital improvement program of $34 million. All right, this is the fund balance section, and that we've been talking about a little bit. This is the general fund. The low bar shows where the minimum of our policy is. That's 25% of the operating expenditures plus covering our outstanding payables and other designated restricted reserves. So that there's the $13.5 million. We're proposing to use about $1 million in this next budget. That would take it down to $12 million, which would still be over our fund balance policy, but as we would move down, we're kind of waiting to see on sales tax. You know, we did talk about the different changes in sales tax. What we didn't talk about is we do have quite a bit of development in town, with a couple of gas stations, and also new culvers, things like that. So we'll be waiting to see what kind of effect those have on the general fund revenue. On the water side, you'll see the cash balance is at about $4.9 million, which is quite a bit over the fund balance. One of the reasons for that is we did hold off on making some public improvements. One of them was to the Stearns Road pump. That was about $1 million that didn't get done this last year. So that is going to be used next year, and that will bring the fund balance down quite a bit. Another thing that helped the fund was we were able to refinance the DuPage Water Commission loan at a fixed lower rate. That will help us. We do have quite a bit of capital projects, including the meter reading program coming up in a few years. So as we use some of this chart actually shows a 5% increase taking into effect 22-23 year, and another 5% the 23-24 year. As that metering system kicks in. And last, the sewer fund. I did not show the bond proceeds. 2019 bond proceeds for the Devon sewer program are not listed in here. This is just cash that's unrestricted. But again, we will need to start ramping this up for the 23-24 year. The fall of 23 is the first year that the IEPA loan we're estimating would be the payback after the project is finished. We're estimating that to be about $2 million a year. And so that's why rates would be increased. So talking about the rate increases, this is using an estimate of 12.5% in 22-23, and then a 16% 23-24. Now that's different for Cook County and DuPage County. It's higher for DuPage County. The wastewater treatment plant loans are being paid back from DuPage County, but that's a combined rate right now. We'll talk, show more details in regard to rate increases and projections by county to cover the different projects as we look at the rates more closely in the future. That is it for the high-level quick overview. I know you'll be waiting for that email to come with the detailed budget at the end of the week, right, Lorna? waiting for that to come. You'll have, some good reading to do over the weekend. Again, the first week in March, that, if you can't do the whole thing, police, planning, development, administration. Next meeting.
Todd, I just want to say something. I don't know really what I enjoy more, sitting through a budget review with you having a presentation or watching paint dry. But Todd, really, I want to thank you and staff for putting together a very aggressive budget. Thank you very much.
Please, feel free to send
For
me
officers
questions,
back to
anything you need to.
It's good to get an overview of the 30,000-foot view when you start getting into the nitty-picky stuff, because it all blends together after a while, so thank you, Todd. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by trustee DEYNE, seconded by trustee Gansey. You can't second a motion if you're not in the... The clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Carbonaro?
Yes.
DEYNE?
Yes.
Gansey?
Yes.
Hopkins?
Yes.
REINKE?
Yes.
Swansky?
Yes.
We are adjourned.